Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 of the URL-GT1 Championship, Season 11. We are in Portugal at the Algarve Portimao circuit. 23 drivers will participate in this race, and qualifying went down as follows. Mika Korkiakowski took another dominant pole, 8 tenths in front of Miguel Santiago Carao. Peter Abelovsky took 3rd place spot. In the AM Cup, it was Andrei Golubnici taking the pole with quite a margin over Sando Donadel and Chris Simpton. So let's have a look at the highlights of race 2. So here we are on the grid. We see Mika Korkiakowski in the Koenigsegg on the right, and then the black McLaren of Miguel Santiago Carao on the left. And off we go. Alex Scott has a good start, gets around the outside of Peter Abelovsky, it seems. The field streaming past. All very close, but fair and clean through this first turn, it seems. Yes, so Peter Abelovsky in up to 3rd. Peter Bakos is in 5th now, with Alex Scott in front of him. And then behind here, Florian Kutz, Tony Ukic, Angeli Guori. Very close, followed by Sten Mikkel Olsen. Tony Ukic making some good ground. He had not a great qualifying. A bit of a tap here on Andrei Golubnici by Sando Donadel. And this is the whole field getting past Sector 1. Mika Korkiakowski has a bit of a gap made already to the rest of the field, but behind it's still very close. Very tricky circuit here, very technical, and very easy to take the wrong line and lose half a second or 1 second even. So it will be a real driver's circuit. So completing the first lap, it's Mika Korkiakowski leading, but unfortunately we will lose him with a disconnection along with some other drivers. You can see, you will be able to see who disconnected at the end of the race. Here they are streaming past the whole field, coming onto the main straight to complete lap 1 of probably 42 if it doesn't rain, and it doesn't look like it. Blue skies. So here Miguel gets into 1st with Miko disappearing from the track. Let's see how that pans out. I suspect it will stay very close here at the pointy end of the grid. Here is the top 12, very close to each other. Tony Ukic made it up to P5 after a not so good qualifying, and here Alex Scott makes a slight mistake. And even the slight mistake here costs you a position, so Tony Ukic gets up to P4. In front you see that it's still very close, with Miguel followed by Peter Abelovsky and Peter Bakos. Greg Metcalf running in 10th at the moment, and seeing a good battle between Evgeny Leonov and Angeli Guori in front of him. And watch Mandio in the Lamborghini clip the grass and be very lucky to not hit the wall there. Robert Horvat picks up another spot. He had a no qualification penalty, and he's already up to P10, so let's see what he can do. Craig Metcalf gets up the inside of Andrei Golubnici, sorry, Evgeny Leonov, and completes the pass. So very close racing here for the, well, getting into the top 10. These 3 drivers are currently in the top 10. Let's see if they can stay there. When Evgeny fancy a look, he shows himself in the mirrors, but no moves being made. Meanwhile, also in the AM Cup, it was a very fierce battle here, as you can see, between Georgios Tsampanakis, Farhan Ahmad Tajuddin and Chris Simpton. Georgios now got through in the Pagani Huayra, the blue one, and Farhan and Chris are far from giving up. A bit of a love tap here. Chris going through. Ferran now on the other side. And this track really rewards nice lines, so there are also very different lines you can take. Here is Florian Kutz versus Manio Liguori. Manio, I think he slightly tapped him, but he gets through for P7. And here we go back to the front of the grid. Peter Abelovsky is staying close to Miguel, but also fending off attacks from Tony Ukic and Peter Backus. And Alex Scott is not too far behind, just relaxing probably, and conserving those tires, while Miguel, his teammate, makes a mistake. And he will have to let Peter Abelovsky through, so gone is that first place after qualifying in second. Let's see if he can fend off the two Maseratis. And completing this lap here onto the main straight, Peter Backus had a good run. He looks at the inside. Let's see how this goes. Miguel brakes late, but it's too late. He goes onto the grass and he needs to concede those two positions to the Maseratis DMT competition. And now it's Alex Scott, his teammate, right behind him. Now, just behind these guys, it was also a very hard battle between Florian Kutz, Michal Klisch here in the two panels in front, and Manio Liguori, Greg Metcalf, who gets a small left tap here from Manio, and Sten Mikkel Olsen, who's in P9, P10 at the moment, I'm sorry. Very hard battle here as well. I can tell you that at this point we lost Alex Scott from the race, so P5 disappeared. That gives these guys all a place. Greg Metcalf and Manio Liguori getting a bit wide there. Let's see if Steen can stick it around the outside while there's some chaos. Robert Horvat had a collision with Ferran Matajudin, if I saw that correctly, and he was in P5 if I'm not mistaken, and he gets mixed right up in this battle. So it's Florian Kutz in P5 now, then Michal Klisch, Robert Horvat, and the other drivers here. Very hard battle throughout the whole first stint. So Peter Abelovsky took P1 from Miguel, and he's now being hounded by Peter Backus. Very hard battle. Peter Backus looking left, right and center to get past, but at the moment he can't. Tony Ukic is in third, then it's Miguel Santiago Carao coming up to the pit stops in fourth, and it's Florian Kutz in fifth, as we saw. Robert Horvat got up to sixth. Got past Michal Klisch after a small mistake. Greg Metcalf then, Manio Liguori, Sten Mikkel Olsen, very, very close to each other. We'll see how this pans out after the pit stops and at the end of the race. Yevgeny Leonov just outside of the top 10. Andrei Kolobnici is leading the AM class quite comfortably in front of Florin Manolace, who had a good battle with Sandro Donadel, making some mistakes, both drivers to swap positions. Then it's Georgios Tsampanakis, Chris Simpson, and Ferran Ahmad Tajudin. Just before the pit stops, it's Peter Backus having a look at Peter Abelovsky, but going wide onto the grass. And that gives Tony Ukic another spot. He's now up to P2. Then it was time for those pit stops. But still before those, it was Robert Horvat, after a mistake which put him down, I think, or he made his pit stop already, and he got past Florin Manolace. Tony Ukic got out, and just in front of Miguel Santiago Carao. Here we can see in the background, so he jumped Peter Backus and Peter Abelovsky. Now, Miguel had a small collision, went slower then Peter Backus and Peter Abelowski, and had to concede the position here on the straight. A couple of laps later, the exact same thing happened with Peter Abelowski, although he had to work a little bit harder for it. Defending on the inside, and fast McLaren being able to defend the position. Can Peter do the over-under? He gets the inside, yes he does, for the next right-hander, and that's job done for Peter Abelowski. So he's up to P3 now. Let's see who can win this race, as it's still very, very close. Then Peter Abelowski closed down the gap to Peter Backus. We had a bit of a wiggle, and as we can see here, the battle between these two was very, very close. The Maserati versus the Lamborghini. Peter Backus having to defend really hard, just as Peter did in the first few laps from him. Can he get his nose up the inside? He has to leave the gap, of course. Getting a better apex there, Peter Abelowski. Can he get alongside again? There's a right-hander now, there's a tricky braking zone. Peter misses the apex by a little bit, and that gives Peter Abelowski second position. So no 1-2 for the Maserati BNT competition group. And unfortunately, Peter Backus underfueled his car, so he had to go for a splash and dash at the end, which gave Miguel Santiago Carao here in the McLaren P3. So that's the end of this race. Tony Ukic took the win after not so good qualifying, so you'll be very happy to take that win for the team. Peter Abelowski will finish in second, very good result as well, with Miguel Santiago Carao in third position. Then it was Michal Klisch who had a quite good race, battling with Sten Mikkel Olsen as well, and Greg Metcalf, completing the top 6. Then it's Peter Backus, so his splash and dash cost him dearly. P7 he is now, and he will finish. Then it's Manuel Liguori. Fell back a little bit in the second stint. Then it's Robert Horvat. He had ups and downs in the race. Yevgeny Leonov will complete the top 10, and his teammate Andrei Golubnishi in the Nissan will take the AM Cup win in P11 overall, which is very, very good. Florian Manolace will finish second in the AM Cup. Then it's Georgios Tsampanakis, Farhan Ahmad Tajuddin, Chris Simpton, and Sando Donadel didn't make it to the end of the race. Here are the full results. So as you can see, we lost quite some drivers. Olma Morales, Juan Joubert already before the start. Then Olivier Duplessis, Mike Greatrix, Mikko Korkiakowski after completing lap 1. Then Alex Scott and Florian Kutz as well further in the race. Sando Donadel was the only non-finisher with a real suspension problem. Tony Ukic won the race, as I said, 12 seconds in front of Peter Abelowski, and then it's Miguel Santiago Carao. Peter Backus really had a good chance of fighting for the win, or at least podiums. As you can see, he had the fastest lap of the race, not by a big margin, but still. Andrei Golubnishi, Florian Manolace and Georgios Tsampanakis are on the AM podium, so that will spice up things as well in that championship. Next week it's Germany. We're going to the Nürburgring for a dusk race, so starting time in the game will be 7 o'clock in the evening, 70 minutes or 38 laps. So join us here for the highlights or at unitedracersleague.com to race with us. See you next week.